So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jane Morgan, the Investor and Media Relations Manager for BetMakers Technology Group. Last week, the company announced that we have been selected as the exclusive technology and services provider in Australia and New Zealand to power a new wagering venture. The new wagering venture is a consortium comprised of Tech Corp Capital, with Matt Davey, who's on the call, News Corp Australia, and Matt Tripp. So on the call today, as I did just mention, I'm joined by Matt Davey, who is now joining us as the chairman of Tech Corp and also a major investor of BetMakers since stepping down from the board last week. I am also joined by BetMakers CEO, Todd Buckingham, who will be available to answer your questions. So with that, Todd, I might hand over to you first off.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, and welcome to all shareholders listening in to discuss the exciting news that we announced last week in regards to our new client, NTD, which is a consortium made up of News Corp Australia, Matt Davey, who's on the call, and Matt Tripp. I understand we already have a number of questions coming through, so I'll keep my overview short and we can get to answering some of those questions. Firstly, before we get into the deal we're here to talk about, I wanted to quickly give you an update on New Jersey and the launch of fixed odds. We've indicated to the market previously that our launch target will be May 7th, in line with opening day on Monmouth Park, and we're still focused on launching on that day. There are a couple of items that we need to check off prior to this happening. We're now waiting the issuing of our license and final check-off approvals for our technology, which includes the final sign-off from regulators around our systems and infrastructure and all that stuff that's required to take fixed odds bets. We feel all is in order from a technical point of view for us to be taking bets on opening day, and we've been all hands on deck working with the regulators to assist as best we can from our side. We have a core exec team heading over to the US this week for the final preparations for launch. This has been a huge achievement to get this far, and we're exciting time for not only BetMakers, but I think the horse racing industry in the US as well. With another number of other states that are waiting in the wings after New Jersey launches, we're certainly excited about what lies ahead over in the United States. So in regards to the deal with the NDA consortium, look, BetMakers was selected as the technology and trading partner for that business, and after working through quite an extensive process over the last 12 months. It's a testament to the team at BetMakers and our existing business that we've been able to negotiate such a deal to deliver an outsourced solution for technology and trading for what we believe will be a significant player within this Australian market. Just covering off on the commercial components of the deal, encourage you to look at the fine print of the deal, but some highlights and overviews are as follows. So the launch target is within 6 months. There's a $5 million payment to cover this period. The deal's a 10-year deal with extensions available. It's a 25% rev share on NGR. There's minimum payments there for BetMakers of $7.5 million each year. It starts out with maximum caps of $20 million, but grows circa 10% each year. What that means is by year 10, we expect the deal to be generating in excess of $40 million annualized revenues at a very healthy EBITDA margin as well. In regards to the requirements on BetMakers for investment, there's no requirement for us to make any significant investment outside of our responsibility to deliver the outcomes of the contract. And in fact, we've been building up the resources within our team in preparation for a deal like this, and we're well advanced. The deal includes utilizing all of the core technologies that underpin the BetMakers technology offering, while also delivering a customer experience that's unique to the wagering market here in Australia. While the core technology is in place, we will work with NDA management to ensure that the user experience delivered to their customers is unique and seamless. And we believe we can deliver a step change solution for users with integrated media throughout that website and applications as well. The deal that has been signed and agreed to, we believe, has more upside to BetMakers outside of the current financial commercials that have been presented to you. It will allow BetMakers to have a core tier 1 operator, along with our fast-growing network of other operators within Australia, for us to bring international concepts and offerings into this market easily and effectively. To say our staff are excited about this opportunity would be an understatement. We continue to lift the bar in delivering world-class betting technologies. Some questions that are coming through, obviously in regards to Matt Tripp. I'll cover off on the position with Matt so that we can answer those questions. But so Matt has been an advisor to BetMakers as we look to broaden the global opportunities across the company. We continue to be in discussions with plenty of other opportunities outside of this NDA deal. As part of that advisory role that we agreed to with Matt was that the board would assess each deal on its merits and advise firstly if it meets the requirements of a strategic or transformational deal, and secondly, if the board felt that it was a deal that it wanted to do. After assessing this deal that was presented to us, which included the strategic performance bonus and the extra payment to Matt, we agreed that this is a deal that we wanted to proceed with. We then negotiated with Matt the committee's performance shares to be escrowed for a period of 3 years, which gave us comfort that he will continue to assist BetMakers, both domestically and internationally on a B2B sense. But we believe this deal is the start of what we delivered to NDA and has the capacity to expand beyond the current services. Exciting times, an exciting deal. And I might hand back to Jane now for any questions that seem to be coming through.
Thanks, Todd. It looks like you covered quite a fair bit in that intro. However, I'm going to jump into a few questions. So can you just give us a little bit more of an overview on the meaningfulness from Bet's perspective and what this means for other jurisdictions?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the deal, obviously, we've got a core technology that is deployed globally with operators around the world. So it's an extension on that, and so for us to be able to build out a solution for a tier one operator here in Australia will allow us then to move and use that technology into other jurisdictions as well. We've put our flag in the ground over there in the US, and we see that as a huge opportunity. And so to be able to leverage what we're doing here in Australia and putting that into that US market is exciting. We've also got a lot of customers in Europe and throughout this jurisdiction, which we think that this technology will certainly suit that market as well.
Wonderful. I might give you a break to talk now. So Matt, this is one for you. So the success of this agreement with BetMakers is based on the new entity's launch. So what have you got installed and planned for the successful launch of the wagering platform, which has already been heavily dominated by tier one operators?
Yeah, look, Jane, we're not going to obviously go into our business plan in detail, but I think when we look at it from an investor's perspective, we look for partnering with great management teams that know what they're doing. We look for great media partnership and obviously the right kind of balance sheet behind it. In the Australian market, clearly it's more mature than other more emerging markets. But we think with the recent amount of consolidation that's happened in the industry and the introduction of new technology from BetMakers, which changes the operating economics behind it, we think there's a great opportunity to provide something different and interesting. And clearly we're backing the team that's done it 3 times before, along with a phenomenal media partner. So we feel pretty comfortable about what our business plan looks like moving forward.
Perfect. And I know we're not going to go into the big business plan, but what will the overall costing to launch the platform and get the platform up to scratch with the other tier one operators that are in the market?
Well, the good news is BetMakers have been in the market already with a number of operators. So we think the product is match fit already. And clearly our team are super excited about working with the BetMakers team on some final touches that will help differentiate the product. We would be surprised if it took more than the next 3 to 4 months to continue to get to the level we want it to be at. And we think we can provide something pretty different and intuitive as we bring this product to market.
Thank you. And just following on from that then, so given your confidence in the short-term sort of profitability based on the experience from the consortium, do you have some big end clients that might be already ready to join?
You mean from a player's perspective?
Yes, I think that's what the question's asking, yeah.
Yes. Look, I think from a player's perspective, you can't get a Rolodex better than what Matt Tripp and the team have. They are incredibly well known in the Australian industry, and I think there'll be a strong following of punters across to whatever offering they have. So we feel very comfortable about that. And if the question's more about the BetMakers side, then I think internationally, one of the challenges B2B operators, suppliers have is convincing tier one operators to move on. I think with the launch here in Australia, BetMakers can leverage that reputation internationally And I think that's something fairly unique out of this transaction.
Thank you, Matt. Todd, this might be one for you actually. So, excuse me, how much flexibility does Bet have to be able to push back if certain features are asked off from the consortium?
It's a good question. We're putting together a team from both sides, and they will meet monthly to decide on what features we'll be working on. There's a commitment that BetMakers will continue to develop the platform, which is the core underlying BetMakers platform, and also then customizations around what the guys at NDA are looking to achieve. So it really is a committee type discussion around what can be done and the timeframes for that to be done.
Okay, I'm just going through. So it's quite a few questions coming through. So bear with me. There's just a few actually about the timing for securing the Bookmaker's license. Matt, I guess that's one for you.
Look, I think we can comfortably say all of the parties are either A, licensed or easily licensable. So we feel very comfortable with that. That certainly won't be on the critical path.
Thank you for that. Todd, I'm not sure if you're seeing anything else that's sort of popping up.
Yeah, I know there's some questions there in regards to BetMakers being shorted as a stock. Look, there's certain things that we can control, and there's certain things that we can't control. As a business, it's all hands on deck on the things that we can control, and we continue to deliver deals and put platforms into the market. The New Jersey delay has obviously allowed an opportunity for people to bet against the stock. But we continue to deliver, and we continue to focus on that, as opposed to the share price and who's betting against us.
Thank you for that, Matt. There's one that's popped up for you. So, are there any plans for NTD, to take its business beyond the Australian New Zealand market? And if so, does this agreement contemplate a role for BetMakers?
Look, I don't think we're looking that far ahead at this point. I think we're very comfortable with the domestic ANZ market. We think there's plenty of opportunity here to introduce a new player, and then perhaps consolidate some of the interesting opportunities in front of us. That said, we're from a tech core perspective very international in our aperture. So if we found something that made sense, I don't see why we wouldn't look at it. But that's certainly not playing to our strength. Our strength right now is in the Australian New Zealand market.
Question there in regards to the sports betting component, whether we're looking after that. It does. This deal does expand the BetMakers solution into sports as well, and yes, we're doing deals with third-party sports providers to deliver pricing and betting options as well, which will then be managed from a risk perspective from the BetMakers team. So. It's a full stack offering here in Australia. We'll be doing racing and sports within the Australian market. I see one there. What is the intention of the cash on hand in the business? We continue to look at opportunities, and we will so. But there's no, having cash on hand allows us to be able to, preempt deals like this. Deals like New Jersey and fixed odds into the US, and it gives us that. Confidence and power to be able to go and resource up. So we'll continue to do that, and we continue to look at opportunities both domestically here in Australia and internationally, and see where we want to focus, and we'll capitalize on that. Obviously having that money in the bank, over $100 million, helps us to be able to look at plenty of opportunities. What are the risks that you see in the new venture, and how are you addressing these? Look, as Matt pointed out, we've got the runs on the board now. We've had this solution in the market now for 2 years. The results that our customers have been getting have exceeded our expectation, and give us the confidence to be able to do a deal like this with NTD, a tier 1 operator. So we are looking now. We've been being able to advance now with confidence that we've done the hard yards. Obviously, there's some plenty of work to do, and we're up for it. But I think the risks have been quite mitigated, given that we've already had stuff in the market.
Todd, one of the things you could talk to, I guess, is from a B2B side, there are a lot of old tech stacks out in the market, and then there are newer tech stacks. BetMakers clearly has a newer tech stack. The challenge with selling those in tier one operators has been they don't want to risk their core business. Here you have an opportunity to incubate a tier one on the newer tech stack and then take that out. And I think that's a key selling advantage. It also drives product development, which I think is an important part on the B2B side.
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it? When you're starting, starting a new technology, is that it needs to be proven, and this gives us the opportunity to prove that in a well-established market such as Australia. So, it's a well-established market here, and we think in advance of where they are in the US as well. So, being able to take this technology and move into that market will be on the cards for sure.
Matt, there's a question actually that's popped up. Excuse me. So can you give shareholders an overview of why you've stepped down from the board?
Yeah. So when I first started investing was back in 2019. And the company has since then gone from a microcap to a firm member of the ASX 300. In addition to that, not only have we expanded the board, we've added 2 incredibly well-qualified independent directors to the board, but also Todd and the team have dramatically expanded management, the scale of operations. So I feel like the business is in a vastly stronger position today with significant positive cash balance, international operations, depth in management, and a very well-defined corporate governance structure in place. So that made me feel very comfortable from a shareholder perspective, as well as a non-exec director. And in addition to that, obviously we're focused on a number of active investments, and it probably makes more sense for me to do so as a strategic investor in the company than sitting on the board.
Do any existing customers like PointsBet have any concerns about the connection with the new consortium? Look, we're a B2B business, so in our core essence is that we need to have multiple customers to provide these services. We haven't had any issues previously, and we don't perceive this from a B2B perspective. We provide all these services in the market, and we welcome any client to come on board and take as many of those services as they can, or as little as they want. So, while we'll continue to provide, great services for all of our clients, no matter what level they come in. Possible plans for dividend payments in the next 5 years, assuming exponential growth. Look, we're growing really fast as a business. 2 years ago, I think we're doing $5 or $6 million in revenue. This deal, along with New Jersey, will put us in excess of $100 million in revenue. So that's over a very short 2 or 3 year period. So we continue to grow, and we've got to look at those opportunities while they're there. We think that this model that we've got, and introduced here into Australia is something that'll be quite attractive internationally. In saying that, there's not a great deal more of investment that we require. And so we expect deals like, the New Jersey deal, deals like the NTD deal to deliver us cash flow positive result and significant EBITDA margins on the products as we roll them out. So it's always your intention to get to a point where you're giving dividends as a business, and that's our focus, but not in the immediate future.
There's a few questions just going on. Few questions coming through, just on new states potentially coming on. Will they have to go through the same process as what New Jersey has gone through for fixed odds, I'm assuming?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Jana? Just cut out.
Sorry, there's one that's just said, so will all the states in North America have to go through the same process as New Jersey?
Yeah, it's a good question. We don't think so. There's already states, I think there's 4 or 5 states that have already put forward either legislation or regulation. There's some states that feel they only need to put in regulation, which means you put your rules around doing fixed odds betting. We think it'll follow along a similar path as what sports betting has in terms of rolling out into other states, and that's sort of been preempted with those states. Colorado, Michigan, Louisiana, New York have all sort of progressed fixed odds betting on horse racing to some degree. and they're awaiting on what happens in New Jersey for that to occur.
Question, sorry, says, does the deal also include providing pari-mutuel services via Global Tote to the NTD consortium, or will it only be fixed odds betting?
Yeah, it's a great question and something that's on our mind for sure. We've had the Global Tote concept for a while. We've got access to global pools with our customer base now throughout Europe and the US. The intention is to create the Global Tote, and part of the unique offering here into Australia now with a tier one operator is the opportunity to bring in those products, whether it's Global Tote, products that are international but not in the domestic market, and plug them into our network of customers, including the NTD business as well. So we think it's the Global Tote's a concept that we've had for a long period of time now, and it's great to be able to then bring that to market.
Thanks for that, Todd. There's just a question that's popped on just about the North American states. Who are our major competitors in North America?
There's competitors, because BetMakers has got such a broad range of products now, platforms, fixed odds data, tote services. We've got competitors in each of those areas. We're in a really good position, a unique position to be able to deliver our customers a full suite of those solutions, as opposed to someone competing with us would be a consortium of those services that would come in. So while we've got plenty of competitors, we think we've got the best product in the market on a global scale. We're the most deployed tote in the world, across more jurisdictions, licensed in more states than anyone else in the US. So we think we've got a compelling offering, and albeit there's competitors across the business for sure.
There's quite a few questions just about the intention for the cash on hand. I think there's a few questions about acquisitions. Is there anything sort of in the pipeline that we're looking for?
Look, at any opportunity needs to be compelling in that we've got so much in front of us that we're already doing. This deal that we've been working on for a long period of time now with NTD is now in the market, and we have to deliver on that. Fixed odds betting rolling out into the US, existing customers that we've signed deals with that we're rolling out. We expect to have another 8 or 9 platforms in the market by the end of the year, in addition to the NTD platform as well. So we've got a lot of work in front of us, but in saying that, we're looking at all opportunities globally, and there's a lot that come across your desk, but they have to be compelling enough for us to focus on that as opposed to the existing growth that we expect in the business. Thanks,
Todd. I think maybe just finally, what can shareholders look forward to over the coming sort of 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, the delivering on these deals that we've put forward. We've invested heavily already and preempted, as I pointed out, building up the team, building up the tech capabilities, the expansion into the US, and now it's time to deliver on those. We've had some significant growth already within BetMakers, but it's now sort of these big ticket ones that we've been working on for a number of months and even years. So delivering on the NTD solution, delivering fixed odds into the US market, expanding both of those, getting new customers rolled out within this market and other markets globally as well. So we'll continue to do what we've been doing, but obviously now that we've highlighted these big opportunities, we have to deliver on them.
Sorry, a question around the state of the macro environment. And I think that's one of the things I really like about where BetMakers is positioned today. I think there's a lot of fast-growing technology stocks that are either loss-making or have significant debt. BetMakers has neither. It is fast-growing, but it is cash flow positive and has positive cash balance. And we are also in what I call a recession-resistant market. It's not recession-proof, but it is resistant. And so I think I really like the setup here, no matter what the macroeconomic environment looks like, both internationally as well as domestically. I think BetMakers is well positioned to sail through that I don't think Todd ever goes to sleep at night wondering about whether there's demand for his products or not.
Yeah, it's a good point, Matt. And it probably alludes to, you know, some of the questions around share price and shorting and things. And, you know, for us, it's, you know, we feel like we've got some good growth opportunities. Obviously, we've got them, you know, on the back of this deal and others. So for us, it's a matter of, you know, while the market is a little bit wobbly, which are external to what BetMakers are doing, we continue to grow, and we do that in a positive cash flow way. So we're reinvesting our profits back into the business to create these opportunities, and we'll continue to do that so that you know, we're not in the need of raising funds or putting ourselves under pressure in that way. There's a question here. Does this mean the BET's current tier 1 clients are not fully utilizing BET's tech stack and the new consortium are going to use? That's correct. So, you know, we started out as a SaaS business, and we started delivering those products a number of years ago to operators, and they were bespoke products, pricing solutions, trading solutions. Where we've moved to now in the business is that we provide a full solution, and that's why we're excited about this deal. NTD are taking the full solution from BetMakers, so not only doing the IT and the platform and the technology, but also the full trading solution as well. So there's some operators, tier 1 operators here in Australia and internationally, that only take some of our products, but this is a full solution for NTD.
All right, gentlemen, well, look, thank you for your time today. And if we have missed any of your questions, please feel free to reach out via the contact details on the bottom of our ASX releases. However, a copy of this presentation will be online in the coming days. But thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Jane. And thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everyone.